Whether you keep them in your home or love to see them in theirs, these are the creatures that bring us all together.
Reptiles. We're going to be delving into the experiences of reptile lovers from around the block and around the world. This is the Reptile Talk Podcast. Boom! What's going on, everybody? This is Jeremy Turgeon from Brassman Reptiles.
And I'm Rob, and I'm creeping it real.
Hey, we did it once.
We got the
We did it
intro.
once, right? Right, once?
Yes.
Something like that?
We did it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
did
here.
It. We did it.
Yay, we did it. Rob has gotten sleep tonight. So this is going to be an interesting.
You guys might get some good information tonight.
Yeah. Or none. No good
say
information.
That's not true
whatsoever. We don't know yet.
This will be a great episode.
I'm actually very excited. I haven't gotten enough sleep.
Yeah, it's been flip-flop now.
It has been flip-flop. I am actually very excited for this episode because the topic.
Tonight we're going to be talking about shipping reptiles and exotics. Which is very important and kind of, I don't know if it's controversial because with all the regulations that have been going on recently, there's the potential that we might not be able to ship things
to certain places
future. So
yeah,
that's something that we're keeping our eye on because, oh boy, man, it's just, it gets complicated.
Yes, it would definitely be a huge issue if some of this stuff actually happened. So, yeah, but shipping snakes. Why do we ship snakes, Rob?
So you don't have to drive all the way to California to get a snake that somebody's got for sale.
This is true. That is exactly why.
I mean, it definitely opens up the possibilities for you to get animals for, certain projects. If you're a morph person, certain species that you might not have access to. But, shipping reptiles has been done for a really long time. I mean, I've been shipping reptiles since I was 19 years old, 18 or 19 years old, and tarantulas too. And it's something that the longer you do it for, the easier it gets because your first package that you send out, you're going to be stressed.
Oh,
I'm just going to level with you. You're going to be chewing your fingernails off.
Yeah.
You're going to be sweating bullets. You might have a irritable bowel syndrome.
Oof.
For the night.
Just for the night?
Just for the night.
That might just be for shipping tarantulas.
I've
never experienced irritable bowel syndrome shipping reptiles.
What it comes down to is that it's very stressful.
It is very stressful.
Your first 1, 2, 10, 50, 100, maybe.
Yeah, I think we often hear a lot of the horror stories.
Yes.
Of shipping, and things do happen. Animals either getting lost in transit or arriving DOA for one reason or another. A bunch of these different things can happen. The reality is the vast majority of shipments go according to plan.
I mean, if you had asked me this a year ago, I would have been like, absolutely. Vast majority of shipments go according to plan. And then with COVID and all the crazy stuff going on with FedEx right now, I've seen more things happen in the last 8 months than I have in the last 15 years of shipping things. But it is, in general, it is much safer to ship now than it has been.
Been in the past, yeah. Yeah, so there's also a bunch of different places you can get your shipping supplies from. There's a bunch of different wonderful third-party sites that you can process your shipments through. It used to be, before any of that existed, do you remember when you had to ship by yourself?
Yes.
You had to create the FedEx account.
Goodness.
I remember having to
UPS.
Oh, you shipped UPS. Oh yeah, so you
Old
were
school.
Yeah. I remember setting up my FedEx account, and you had to ship the test package and get the approval before you could get your account with FedEx. And then after you did that, you were then a certified
approved shipper.
And that was like the thing. Like, are you certified to ship those animals? Like, yes, as a matter of fact, I am.
I think that for my first several shipments, I was not certified, and I was just like, I can do it. I'll just do it. And my first experience shipping reptiles was when I was like 13, which is like I would not, the way that it happened. Oh boy, it was not how I would do it today. But it was during the middle of summertime. I was shipping a garter snake to somebody, and what I had done was I was like, I don't know how to ship a reptile, and he's like, look, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna take a pillowcase. You put the snake in the pillowcase. Take a little bit of crumpled paper, put it in the pillowcase. Tie the pillowcase, or zip tie it would be better. He's like, what you're gonna do is take some more crumpled paper, put it into a box that you get from the post office.
Mm-hmm.
Put the pillowcase in the box. More crumpled paper on top. And
Yes.
then you are going to bring it to the post office. And let me preface this: do not ship animals through the U.S. Post Office.
No, don't do
Post
that.
Service. It's illegal. Don't do that. You can do bugs through USPS, but you cannot do spiders, snakes. I don't think you could do lizards either.
Mm-mm.
So don't do this. This was a very long time ago. And he was like, so bring it to the post office, bring the box already taped up. Don't let them look inside. Tell them that you're shipping a hat and you need to ship it next day mail. And I was like, oh, okay. How much is that going to cost? And he's like, it's going to be like $30. And like, I didn't know what I was doing back. So we like got like a decent sized box and everything. It ended up costing us like $60 to ship it or whatever.
Yeah.
And shipped it next day mail. He got it the next day. Called us on the phone because they didn't have text messaging or not great email back then.
That.
And he was like, "It came in. The thing's amazing." Blah blah blah. And that was my first time ever shipping a reptile. And then there was a huge gap where I didn't ship anything because I was still a child. Like I shouldn't have shipped that snake. I didn't know what I was doing. But it did get there safe. All
That's
things
what matters.
considered, that's what matters. I have also seen we've gotten a lot of shipments at Nerd, and I've seen people ship things every way that you could possibly think of. Lots of ways that you're not at all supposed to ship snakes before. We have literally had somebody take one of those like flat rate boxes, one of the ones that's like meant for books, and literally just take the snake in a bag and put it inside of that and ship it like that.
Oof.
Yeah. It came alive, and I was amazed because I was like, there is no way that I saw the box come in and they were like, oh, here you go. This is your next day shipment. And I was like, it's supposed to be a live animal. And they're like, you can't ship live animals through USPS. And I was like, I know. And it was just, it was bad. I was just expecting the worst. And the snake was alive, and I was like amazed because
Well,
that
would
is
you look
not
at
what I
that?
was expecting. Yeah,
Yeah.
these animals are pretty durable, all things considered.
Mhm.
A lot of people think that it's like super, super fragile, and there are more species, or there are some species that are more fragile to ship than others, but a lot of these animals are very rugged
Yeah.
when it comes to the process.
Yeah, no, it's very true. I think personally, I mean, I've shipped out hundreds of animals personally, and I think I've only had two or three issues personally, and two of them involved packages getting delayed.
Mm-hmm.
One of those was recently, which is always stressful. That is probably the most stressful thing, because you're like, that animal was perfectly fine in the box. It's still probably perfectly fine, but if we can't get it to its destination, it's not going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you're like under the pressure of like, this animal needs to either be at the desired hub or get to the customer's house, whichever you're doing. And it needs to get there ASAP. So I've had plenty of times where I've been on the phone very angrily at FedEx, excuse me, trying to get it, trying to get the package to where it needs to go. I only ever had one issue many years ago, when an animal arrived DOA. Excuse me, and it was literally just because the heat pack that I had secured to the top of the box had gotten jostled and ended up going right on top of a container that like a little baby corn snake was in. And that situation, again, this was like years ago, but that situation was literally like absolute best case scenario as far as customer interaction, because it's always like something like that happens, and then of course you're dealing with that customer, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry this happened, here are the options, here's how we can go through this. And sometimes you get an irate person that's like, I spent money on this and now it's dead and blah blah blah. And I remember I explained to the customer, I can send you your money back, for that animal, no problem. I was like, your other option is, because he still wanted one of those, I think it was like a butter corn combo or whatever. And I was like, I'm out for the season, so I was like, your other option is you wait till next year and I make more. And he was like, okay, let's do that. And I was like, for real? Like, you don't just want the $45 back or whatever, whatever it was. And he was like, no, I'll just wait until next year. So I was like, put his name on on my whiteboard in my room, and Surisec next year, pop one out, it was the right sex. Boop, there you go. And that was literally like best case scenario in a situation like that. And of course, it's always frustrating to have the animal perish during shipment, but the next level of that struggle is dealing with and interfacing with that customer who's also probably disappointed and hopefully not irate at the situation.
Yeah. And we should probably start from like, what are some good services to use when it comes to shipping reptiles? Because a lot of people might not know where to start. And kind of like the gold standard right now for shipping in the United States would be using a company like Ship Your Reptiles, where they get you a discount on the shipping rate through FedEx. They handle if there's any issues, they'll give you insurance on the package, barring any abnormalities going on around the country. But they'll give you some sort of money back guarantee if something goes wrong. They offer pretty stringent accessibility when it comes to what time your package will get delivered. They handle just about everything. Ship Your Reptiles is kind of the one that I use, and I have been using since I was however old, 18 years old or whatever. And they run through FedEx, but there's also things like Reptiles to You. There's also like Reptile Runner, which I think they run international.
I think so.
For like Canada and potentially Europe as well. But find one that works for you. I have not used those other services personally, but I know a lot of people who do. So you kind of got to find whatever one works for you. And then UPS, you can still ship like lizards, frogs, turtles,
anything that's not snakes.
Anything that's not
snakes,
or I don't think you can ship tarantulas or scorpions through them because they're venomous. But FedEx is kind of the standard. There was a big situation with UPS many years ago where I believe it was someone had shipped a false water cobra, and something went wrong with the box. The box got wet, or like something like it got damaged, and they looked at the box and it said Cobra on it, and UPS started losing their mind because they were like, Cobra, 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 because everyone, the general public has heard the word Cobra before. Even though it was a harmless cobra, air quotes, they still lost their mind, and they were like, we need to reorganize everything that we're doing. We can't have snakes. And so that kind of like ruined the UPS train. That's what my understanding is. If that's not the actual case, I'm sorry for anyone but that's what I've heard down the line. It is the thing that kind of nixed UPS being able to use for shipping snakes, at least.
Yeah. And
then FedEx has kind of been the step in. They have been doing it since then. It's been over 10 years that's been like that. So, and then also when you're shipping a live animal, you want to make sure that you're using a styrofoam insulated box, appropriately sized. You want it to be kind of snug, but you don't want it to be too small, especially if you're using a heat pack or something like that for the winter time, because we are kind of right on the end of winter time right now. Oh my goodness, what month are we in?
We're in April.
April 2021.
It's still kind of winter for us in the Northeast.
Yeah, for posterity, because I hate when I'm listening to a podcast and they're like, so like right now you're going to want to use, and I'm like, what time of year is it? What's going on right now?
Yeah.
So right now we're in April. of 2021, like right around the middle of April 2021. So we're just kind of on the tailwind in the Northeast United States. We're on the tailwind of using shipping heat packs in our boxes because overnight temps are still dropping down into the 30s. And a lot of people will not ship, and they generally recommend not shipping if temperatures overnight are below 32 degrees, just because you don't know if the box might be left out on a tarmac in between going from one plane to another, or from a plane to a box truck, or if it's going to sit on a box truck that doesn't have heat or something like that. So most people generally do not ship if the overnight temps are below 32 degrees. And then they generally recommend not shipping if your daytime temps are over, I think it's like 85 degrees,
85 or 90. Yeah.
89 degrees. If your daytime temps are over 89 degrees, you generally don't want to ship, even if you're using a cold pack. They only last so long. People also use the Phase 22 cryo packs, and those work pretty well as well. But you kind of have to gauge it. You have to use your better judgment. If you're new to it, I recommend reaching out to someone who is more experienced in shipping and seeing what you would want to do with your heat packs or with your cool packs, your freezer packs or whatever. And then it also depends on the species, because a tiger salamander or a newt is going to be able to tolerate a cool temp drop much better than some of the other species of snakes or things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's important to note too, as Rob was just talking about, using a styrofoam insulated box. A lot of times, places like, I believe, Ship Your Reptiles, you can get your shipping supplies directly from Ship Your Reptiles, which is absolutely wonderful. And it's not the only place that you can get your shipping materials from, but I mean, it doesn't get much better than an all one-stop shop. Get your shipping supply and then be able to ship
and your label,
the animals and your label and all that stuff. I'll shout out TSK supply.
Yep.
Because that's where I've gotten all my all my boxes and deli cups and all that stuff for years. Dan and Colette, they're absolutely wonderful. And snake bags and all that stuff, but there's certainly plenty of places to get that. And I think one of the things we'll touch on too is like shipping rates. So shipping rates have certainly changed dramatically.
Oh my goodness.
It's important to note too, especially from a business side, right? When you're not just talking about, oh yeah, I ship one animal a month and it's no big deal, and I spend $40 on all my materials, and that's basically everything I need for the entire year because I don't ship out a whole lot of snakes. But when you have, especially if shipping rates, and you're like, well, so and so, it seems like their shipping, their shipping prices are expensive, and it's like, well, you're not just taking into account the shipping itself, you're taking into account the cost of the box, the cost of the snake bag, the cost of the heat pack, and like all these little things that add up. Especially when you're talking about, somebody might be shipping 20-30 boxes a day or more, or anything that's just a substantial number, because that stuff adds up.
So quickly.
After a while, boxes aren't cheap.
So quickly. Yeah. Boxes are not cheap. Bags are not free. Shredded paper, even unless you're getting donated shredded paper from somebody, it's not free. All that stuff costs something, and we are constantly trying to keep everything within. A lot of people are going to say, well, just factor that into your cost. And if you are selling $1,000 ball pythons, sure, you might be able to do that. If you're selling $45 crested geckos, or $50 leopard geckos, or something, $20 tarantulas, that
it's hard to justify.
Matters. Like that extra dollar counts so much. And like when I first started doing things, I didn't really know how to order from some of those companies, and I don't even know if most of those companies were making shipping supplies back then. I had to make all my own boxes. So what I had to do was go to Walmart or FedEx or
like Staples
or something, and buy a box. And then I would go to Home Depot and buy these long sheets of styrofoam, and I would hand cut pieces of styrofoam to fit inside of the box perfectly, which like it takes you so long and you get styrofoam everywhere and it's terrible and horrible. And I I can't believe I did that for so long. Why? But that's what I did. Like literally to make sure that I had a styrofoam insulated box, I would make my own styrofoam insulated box. And that takes time to do. And
Yep.
if you're not getting it directly from these supply places that have made it pre-cut and everything, you're investing that time, which is your time is money.
Mhm.
So it is something that you need to take into consideration when it comes to shipping things. And then one of the things that's become more like widely accepted now because of the pandemic. So 2020 really messed everything up, like just about everything in the country, just messed it all up. And before that, FedEx was like busy, but they were pretty good. Like you could pretty consistently expect them to hit their delivery times and everything's going to be cool.
Mhm.
No big deal. After the initial quarantine happened, everyone stopped going to the store to buy most of their things that they buy. So FedEx experienced this explosion of people ordering things online and getting it shipped next day or 2 day or whatever through FedEx. So their volume in the middle of 2020 went like quadrupled, and they could not handle the amount of product that was being shipped through their service.
Right.
So at the beginning of the pandemic, if you were shipping live animals, we stopped doing it for a while, where we just completely stopped shipping. And we were like, no, we
For a
can't.
few
It's
months.
not safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what we saw for people who were shipping animals was that they would get delayed. They would get lost in shipment for sometimes days at a time. And they would not always like the box would not always arrive safe. Like it would just get crushed or marked up or whatever. And that is just like incredibly stressful. And so one of the things that's become more popular since then is having your package held at the nearest FedEx hub to your location, if you're the person receiving the animal, so you can pick it up directly from FedEx. And that allows you to pick the package up at like 9, as soon as they open in the morning. Like I went and picked up some snakes. Was that yesterday?
Yep.
And I showed up at 9 a.m. They opened up the doors of FedEx. I walked inside, picked up my snakes, and left. As opposed to when a snake or when a reptile gets to a FedEx hub, usually if you're having it you're having it sent directly to your home, they're going to take it from the plane, set it down, have it sorted in a sorting facility, had it sent out to sit on a truck. Then that truck has to go through its route, and hopefully it gets to you in the early part of the day. And they used to guarantee it before 10:30. Since COVID, they've said 12 o'clock noon in air quotes. And that means whenever it gets to you. And I've literally seen packages not delivered until
4 or 5 o'clock.
6 p.m.
Easy.
So they're sitting on a truck. You got to figure you would have been able to pick it up at 9 a.m. So they're put on the truck right around 9 a.m. From 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. They're sitting on a truck getting bounced around, whatever temperatures you're experiencing. So as we're coming into the summertime, sitting on a hot truck, because the back of the trucks generally do not have air conditioning, just experiencing whatever temperature that the driver is going through. And if they are sitting in an area where there's got direct sunlight into the back of the truck, or like on the side of the truck or whatever, it can definitely be stressful to ship in those situations. So I have been encouraging people, and it's kind of like we've kind of pushed it. You really need to pick your animal up from your nearest hub. Like I get it, extenuating circumstances. Some people are an hour away from their nearest hub, but most people are not more than 20 to 30 minutes from their hub, your nearest hub to wherever you live. So taking that 20-minute drive or arranging for someone to pick it up for you is super important when it comes to the safety of the animal. And I've found that it makes things much more likely to go smoothly than if you choose to have it delivered directly to your home.
That's very true. And I'll acknowledge the fact that Limey Smidger is in the house.
Hey.
Hello, Limey. How are you? He's poking fun at me because the last time he shipped me a snake, I told him to ship it right to Nerd.
Yep.
And the reason is
Mm.
because more often than not, businesses take priority on delivery routes, especially when there's like it needs to be there by a certain time. Usually businesses take priority on that. And for the most part, except for a short period of time where our like peak pandemic and closures and everything, we were getting our deliveries super late.
3-4 p.m.
Yeah, recently now they've been arriving by noon,
Yeah.
which is perfect.
Yeah. Makes it a lot easier. But I remember, and then also some FedEx drivers, oh man, I don't want to say anything bad about them, but when I lived in Maine, my FedEx driver was, I don't know if he was just like afraid, they didn't want to touch the box or whatever, but there was times where I was sitting at home right in my living room and they would like come up and then like gently knock on the door. They're like, and then run away and leave a note on the door that was like, I tried to deliver it. Sorry, I couldn't deliver it. And I was like, I have been sitting in my, like, I must have not been looking out the window at that particular 10 seconds because I've been staring out my window waiting for this package to come for the last 2 hours. I wake up because where I was like really close to Portland. So that was really close to the sorting facility. So they would get there at like 9 a.m. Usually packages are delivered, previously they were guaranteed by 10:30 a.m. So I would expect it like around 10 between when I lived in Massachusetts is usually like between 10 and 11 is when it would generally get delivered.
Yeah.
But because I was so close to the hub, they would deliver super early. So like I've had them deliver at like 9 o'clock before. And so I was like, man, this driver sucks. They're terrible. And I was so bummed because I would just sit there and stare out my window and sometimes they wouldn't even knock. They would just come up and slap the note on the door and just walk away. And I would run out and be like, hey, don't leave. That's a live animal on your thing.
Yeah.
And generally, if they attempt to deliver and you're not there or you don't answer the door or whatever, you are not able to pick that animal up until the end of their route, which can be anywhere from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. on some of the drivers who have longer routes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't even pick it up until the next day. So it's
because then the hub is closed.
Then the hub is closed.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. So it's super important to take all these things into consideration when you're thinking about receiving an animal as well as shipping an animal.
Mm-hmm. And it's important to note, because we certainly witnessed it all over the place, taking into consideration not just the temperatures in your area, but temperatures in the destination area and along the route.
Yeah, Memphis hub.
Route. As of late, there's been a lot of issues down at the Memphis hub with extreme weather and then getting backlogged with stuff, So one of the great things with Ship Your Reptiles is that they send all of their account holders alerts. So if ever there's like impending bad weather or near this hub, if you're shipping towards that side of the country,
take into consideration.
Maybe don't ship or, be cautious shipping or, we suggest you don't ship,
man. If
you're not 100% there, like just don't do it. Wait another day, wait another couple days. It's not the end of the world.
It's not worth it.
I'll go off on a quick story tangent really quickly, just talking about like shipping during poor weather. I think I've talked about this once or twice on the podcast, which was years ago, getting in some carpet pythons like in winter, which we were cool, temperatures were fair for winter in the Northeast, but out of nowhere it was like snowstorm. And the animals were delayed and held up, and we were like on the phone with FedEx. The shipper was on the phone with FedEx, and it was like this constant battle to get the package to us. And the package went days before it arrived, and amazingly the snakes were alive.
Carpet's like, we're just cooling, man.
Yeah, it was carpet pythons, and I got them, and they were like limp, and I was like, oh my god, they're dead. And out of the corner of my eye, I noticed that one like twitched its tail, and I was like, no way. And we slowly warmed them back up. But that was one of those like crazy moments, being on the receiving end. I wasn't even shipping the animal, but like we were all good to go, and then this storm came out of nowhere and like totally messed it up. And but the FedEx driver that dropped off the package did the exact same thing. It was like, and then gone, like
Ran, yeah.
ran away. And like I ran from my couch to the door, which is maybe 25 feet. And they were gone, like in the car driving away. And I was like, I mean, all I'm going to say is if you're running that much, somebody warned you that we were going to be really mad.
Yeah.
Because I was also very ready to ream that person a new asshole just because I was that frustrated. Yeah, it wasn't their fault, but I was just that frustrated at FedEx that they were going to get the wrath and then maybe would have gotten an apology letter later or not.
See, I call and I ask for I'm like, I want to go higher than this driver because the driver is having.
I know the driver's like, I just got the package and I'm here to bring it over. But the fact that he ran made me mad.
That would make me really mad. That would make me upset.
Like, man, who tipped you off?
Yeah.
Who tipped you off? On the flip side, though, when I was still living in Western Mass, we had the same driver on our route for the longest time, and she brought me a package one time, and she was like, "Oh, what you got in there?" She says, "Live animals. What you got in there?" So I was like, "Oh, yeah, reptiles. I work with reptiles and whatever." And she was like, "Man, can I clock out for my lunch right now? Because I want to see what's in that box." And I was
awesome.
like, "Hell yeah!" And anytime I ordered a new snake, she would come. Like if we were supposed to get it at 10:30, she would come at like 11:15 so that she could take her lunch and see what was in the box. And I was like, you know what? I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
Because she probably actually took care of the box too. And like,
yeah, she did. She always had it right next to her.
Yeah,
right next to her in the cabin of the car. Yeah. That's cool. When you get a cool FedEx driver like that, it's gonna be all right.
That's awesome. Yeah, because a lot of times I see them, they'll be carrying the box upside down, and I'm like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, can't you read?
Yeah,
There's big red arrows on the side of that box facing the other direction.
Yeah, and then some people are like, "Well, why are you so upset? It's just a snake in a box." And it's like, okay, but what if there's a heat pack in that box and the snake is now sitting? Because most people tape, like when I ship with a heat pack, I tape it to the top of the box so that the snake is not sitting directly, or the reptile is not sitting directly on it. Because if it's sitting directly on it, you can't control how close it gets to the heat pack.
Right.
Usually what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of stuffing at the bottom, put the reptile in, put a bunch of stuffing on top, and then heat pack on the top so that it's got some dispersal of space between it. So it allows it to not get directly onto that heat pack. And if you flip the box upside down, now it's going to compress the reptile against that heat pack. Or if you're using it during the summertime, a cold pack, and you don't want them to be anywhere near those temperature extremes. So you definitely don't want to do that. And I want to say shout out to all the people who bought Borneos for me this past year and carpet pythons and stuff, because I didn't have anyone who was like impatient and like, you need to ship it right now. Everyone just was like, nope, whenever you feel is safe to do so, ship it out then. I don't want to risk this animal. They showed like high level of emotional intelligence, saying, I know that I'm excited, but and that's the best thing that you can do is, trust your shipper. If you are not an experienced person in receiving a reptile, trust the person who's experienced in shipping them to say, hey, look, temperatures don't look good this week, or it looks like there's a storm system coming through here, so things might get delayed. Be patient, because they want the animal to get safely to you as much as you want to get the animal safely to you.
Yeah. Somebody said it earlier in the chat here on YouTube. We've been spoiled by Amazon overnight shipping.
Oh my god. This is the truth. We need to go on tangent on this right now, because Screw Nerd, we have had so many people who have bought things on like a Saturday night into Sunday morning at like 3 a.m. And then on Sunday afternoon, they're like, where is my snake? And I'm like, there's no shipping places that ship on Sunday. It's still here at our facility. And then they get all upset. Well, it's been a day. I paid for overnight shipping. And it's like, yeah, I know you did. Don't worry.
Yeah, everybody does.
Yeah, everybody does. But you still can't ship when a shipping business is closed. Sorry, pal. I know that you think that you're special. I know that you got
but you're not.
An award from your parents that said #1 son. Even though you were the third born.
Oh, no. No.
But listen, so most shipping places recommend shipping on either Tuesday or Wednesday. And this is information that is pertinent to, again, April 2021. This is how most places are doing it right now. If that changes in the future, I'm sorry. If you're listening to this and you're like, well, I ship on blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's the past. We're talking about currently right now.
Yep.
Most places are recommending not shipping on Mondays.
Mhm.
FedEx and most shipping places are trying to catch up on stuff from Sunday where they were not open and not running. So Mondays can get kind of hectic for them. But usually by Tuesday, Wednesday, they're able to catch up on things, allows them to be able to move those packages through the system much more efficiently. And then they generally don't recommend shipping on Thursday or Friday. The main reason is because if there are delays on a Thursday for Friday shipment, a lot of times they will just say, okay, we'll try it the next delivery day, which is generally Monday. So you'll
Yep.
have an animal stuck at a FedEx facility, wherever, on a shelf someplace
For
from
days.
from Thursday afternoon until Monday morning, which is not ideal, not what you're going for.
Yeah.
And although FedEx does offer the option to have Saturday deliveries, generally, if you need that to happen, it's an extra $100. I think it's $75 to $125 extra to have that Saturday delivery.
Yep.
So if you're not willing to pay that, or if that's not something you're planning on doing, just don't. Honestly,
Just wait.
Just wait.
Just wait.
Yeah, ship on a Tuesday or Wednesday. If you are someone who works a full-time job, like I get it, I work 2 full-time jobs, so it's not always easy to set up a day to ship animals out or to receive animals. More to receive for me is a little bit tough. But if you've got, if you ask a person, hey, look, I need 2 weeks notice, like, and tell my job, hey, I'm going to come in late this day because I need to pick up this animal. Most places are willing to give you that. Hey,
Yeah.
or you can do it on your break or whatever. Just try and be safe about it. You don't want to try and risk the animal, because this is an animal's life that you've got in the balance here.
Right.
Is what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's literally is the most important thing, and it's crazy that sometimes we have to like reconfirm that notion with certain customers.
Yes.
They get so frustrated that they haven't received their animal for one reason or another, and it's like, we don't want this animal to die because it gets stuck on a shelf somewhere, or because the box gets lost because shipping is hectic. And for everybody who's like, well, I work in the shipping department, I know how this works. You don't know how it works, or you might have an idea of how it works, but you don't know how it all works.
Yeah, we've literally seen the FedEx leave boxes out on a tarmac for days.
Yeah.
Like days at a time. And it's like, how do you even do that? How is that a thing? And if you're not prepared for the worst can happen.
Yep, exactly. So and part of this that I don't know if we'll go into a whole lot of detail, but if you are someone who's doing shipping, especially if you are a business owner or an up and coming hobbyist breeder, it's very important to have your terms of service spelled out when it comes to shipping, and if you're going to offer like a live arrival guarantee and the stipulations of that, in case something like this happens, just so you're covered in the instance of somebody trying to pull a fast one on you for something, especially if it's something that is out of your control. It's important to do. I know, like places like Morph Market, there are literally sections, if you are a seller on Morph Market, where you can put your terms of service, and if you don't have any, you just kind of like adopt the Morph Market terms of service for a lot of stuff. But it's important to have those things kind of in place and in mind, and not just like written down in a notebook on the side of your computer desk. Like, have it public for your customers or potential customers to reference. So if something ever happens, you can tell them like, hey, look, it was right here the whole time. And like I said, that goes for like, live arrival guarantees, or like if an animal arrives DOA, what does the customer need to do? And it's important that you make it as dummy proof as possible. I've dealt with that a lot, like working with website designers and logo designers and stuff like that. You have all these grandiose ideas, and they might be awesome, but at the end of the day, you need it to be as dummy proof as possible, as simple as possible, and as plainly spelled out as possible, so that there is zero question or interpretation of what you've written or given to a customer is not really up for much interpretation. It's like, hey, this is the fact, This is what it is, and you got to deal with it.
Yep.
And if you're outside those parameters, then there's nothing that I can do for you. And you can pick and choose. Of course, if you have somebody who's like an extenuating circumstance and you want to kind of go above and beyond for that person's been a decent, of course there can be exceptions to the rule, but you need to have that kind of covering yourself.
Yeah, the policies are not there for when everything goes great.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
there in case something goes wrong.
Exactly. Yep, that's exactly it. I just want to give a really quick shout out to everybody that is that's here watching and hanging out with us live on YouTube in the chat. And while we're taking this break, we're going to run a quick ad break. We are super happy to announce our partnership with OASIS Exotic Enclosures, a new startup cage manufacturer based in California. Matt and Steph Conard have taken their time developing a wonderful quality product. The VS31 enclosure is their flagship model. It's 31 inches by 20 inches by 20 inches. It's perfect for many smaller species of colubrid, boa, python, or even some nocturnal lizards. Made with industrial-grade polyethylene plastic via in-house rotational molding, these cages have the strongest bonds in plastic manufacturing. Each enclosure has molded-in inverted handles on the sides, making moving from one place to another easier than ever. Each cage also has bolt-threaded inserts to allow you to connect cages vertically or secure them to a wall, creating impregnable security for that ever-growing collection. Also, a wonderful addition, the option to receive wall mounting brackets for your enclosure. That's right, you can attach this cage to any wall in your house at any height you desire. This wonderful patent-pending adaptation provides you the ability to take that cage you have just placed on a table or on the floor up higher without wasting valuable floor space. This also allows you to no longer loom above your pet before entering the enclosure, which is often a high cause of stress. Matt and Steph have just begun their journey into cage manufacturing and have worked to put out a quality product at a comparable price to other companies in the industry. More innovations and designs are forthcoming, and we are excited to see OASIS Exotic Enclosures grow and develop. Please go check them out on Instagram at OASIS Exotic Enclosures and on the web at www.oasiscages.com. Boom! So a massive shout out to OASIS Exotic Enclosures for being our sponsor for the next few shows. You can go check them out. All the links will be available in the YouTube video description. And if you're listening to the audio, it is available on the description of the podcast and the audio. So we've talked a lot about just kind of the overall generalized blah, blah, blah of shipping. There's a couple of even more extremes when it comes to what you're putting in that box, man. I think we've covered a lot if it comes to like, yeah, you're shipping out like a baby ball python or a little corn snake or a lizard or something like that. But what happens when you need to ship like a 15-foot retic or a subadult boa or maybe a croc monitor? If you got one of those things, just kicking around, you decided to sell, or maybe even invertebrates.
Yes.
So Rob handles a lot, basically all of that shipping for Nerd. So Rob, you can discuss all of these things, and I'm just going to sit here and make fun faces when he says something that's cringeworthy.
Let me just rant for a second.
Yeah.
If you're about to ship a big lizard, you need to trim its nails like hardcore before you put it in a bag or any sort of container. We've done this before where we've shipped out big lizards before, and 99.99% of the time everything goes smoothly. We did have a 0.01 situation where we had a croc monitor claw its way out of a box, like clawed its way through two pillowcases, like not a Kevlar, but like a heavy duty pillowcase, and then another pillowcase, and then right through the box, like through the styrofoam, and pushing its way out of the box. And we got a call from FedEx. Excuse me, sir. We have a concerned driver. There is a large lizard climbing out of a box, and we're like, oh crap! Come back to the store. So we had to grab a croc monitor out of the back of a FedEx truck, which is not good. But that was a very isolated situation. And so basically, for that, we put it into a plastic tote that we sealed, with air holes. Don't
Yeah, of
Don't-
course, not
don't
not
airtight it.
airtight. Yeah.
Although if you're not using heat packs or cool packs, I've seen a lot of people not use air holes on smaller shipments and have it be fine. I still almost always put an air hole in there just to be on the
Just to
safe
be safe.
side.
Yeah.
But I have seen a lot of people do it where they don't put air holes in it and have it be okay. But when you're shipping large animals, you definitely want to take into consideration these animals are going to be jostled around a lot. People might drop the box. They might, not handle it as gently as you'd hope that they would. So you want to pick a box that's kind of tight. You don't want them to have all this space to jostle around, because the more space, the more possibility it is for injuries for them. If they have got lots of stuffing around them and you make a nice little cocoon right around them, it makes it a lot safer for them than if you were to take, say a 6-foot snake and put it in a giant, whatever 30-inch box. It's you might think that you're doing the right thing, but in reality, the amount of space that's in there that it is able to jostle around is going to be tougher on the snake during shipment than if you had gone with something a little bit smaller where they fit a little bit tighter. And so all things that you need to take into consideration, if you've got animals that can be potentially dangerous, always consider double bagging them. Always use proper labels on your box and label what genus and species that you're working with in the Latin and the common name. You want to make sure that it's easily identifiable. I usually do that on the bags themselves as well, so that not only on the box, but also on the bag, it denotes what exactly is inside the bag. So if there's any sort of confusion from, I've had packages inspected by Florida Fish and Game or the Fish and Wildlife Commission. Have gone right into some of the boxes that I've gotten out of Florida, and then they put a piece of tape on the top that was like, inspected by Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission.
Bastards.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say, I don't want to get onto that.
That's another topic.
That's a whole different. That's a different episode.
Yeah, very different episode.
But you want to clearly denote what is going on in those packages. You want to make sure that it is easily accessible and understandable for the person receiving the animal. And then you can use a variety of different things when it comes to what you're using for like your quote unquote stuffing inside of the box. I like to use shredded paper works really well. So if you've got a paper shredder and you've got documents or newspapers or blah, 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 whatever that you need to shred up, I like using that. That's currently what we use the most at Nerd. One of the other things we've used in the past that I actually really, really like is tissue paper. We got we buy rolls of paper. And so we've gotten a couple rolls of this like thin tissue-y kind of paper, and I love using that as stuffing. It holds its form fairly well, especially if you use a decent amount of it. It helps disperse the heat throughout the box fairly evenly, and I really like that paper when it comes to using as stuffing. I have also gone, and this is a little bit more expensive, but you can buy like teddy bear stuffing or like pillow stuffing and use that as well, and that works great too, but it's just more expensive. So it's just like an added cost on top of the box and the bag and the blah blah blah, the label and all that sort of stuff. So if you're doing it on a small scale and you've got a good profit margin, it might be worth it for you to check that out. But honestly, there's no real reason to do it aside from it looks nice and it works pretty good. Most of the time, shredded paper works just as good.
Yep.
And, it has not let me down yet. So it definitely works really well. You got to take into consideration what you're shipping. I generally will ship amphibians in cups or delis with sphagnum moss that's been dampened but not wet. I'll do snakes of various sizes in either bags, or really small snakes we'll do in containers like deli cups that have been taped shut with air holes in them so that they aren't jostled around too much. Big snakes, you're going to want to use big snake bags, often double bagged for a lot of those bigger animals, just in case, because they're strong as heck.
You mean I can't use a deli cup for my 15-foot retic? They don't make deli cups that big?
I would love to see a deli cup that big. It'd basically be like a kiddie pool.
Pretty much,
yeah. That'd be interesting. Because when I show up to FedEx with a giant box, they're always like, is this another 16-foot long snake? And I'm like, yep.
Sorry.
They're like, the last time I showed up with a big box, they're like, the last one hissed at us. And I was like, yeah, be gentle with it.
Yeah, that means you put it on its side.
I mean, probably, though.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yep.
And then invertebrates, arachnids, insects, you're going to want to use vials most likely. That is a much more involved process than taking a snake and putting it in a bag. A lot of tarantulas are very fragile. Scorpions a little bit more durable. Centipedes are a little bit more durable. But generally for like tarantulas and spiders, you need to take a vial, take paper towels, make a cocoon on the inside of the vial so that you can fit a finger in there and it's cushioned on all sides. I usually spray it once or twice just to make it a little bit damp and soft. You don't want it to be hard, because the thing with arachnids like spiders and tarantulas is that their abdomens are made of skin, and so if they hit a hard surface, they rupture and they'll die. So it's very important that you are like extra cautious with spiders as opposed to the snakes and everything, because people when you bring your package to FedEx, you've carried it gingerly, you've cushioned it, you seat belted it into your car, you are making sure that you carry it very gently and place it right side up on the counter when you're talking to the FedEx guy. As soon as they bring it to the back room for their sorting facility, that box gets chucked up against the wall and like thrown onto a belt that is like moving really quickly, and then chucked off the end of the belt into a pile of boxes. And then they take that box and throw it onto the plane, and another guy grabs it and throws it to another guy who stacks it all up in the plane and all this. So you have to take into consideration that is how they are handling your package. So you need to make sure that everything is very well cushioned out.
I just imagine the guy right behind the door when the door closes, like heaves the box to another guy that's got like one of those old school wiffle ball bats. And just
pop. Like another spider guy.
yeah, exactly. Did you hear they're shipping inverts today? Oh, call Jimmy. He's got a good one.
As the box drops, it kicks it off the other way. I stepped away from the mic for that one. Sorry, guys.
Terrible,
but,
terrible.
That's kind of the reality that you got to face when it comes to shipping live animals. This is just another box for them. They just need to get it there as quickly as possible. So they are not always going to be the most gentle with it.
Hey, that ball python that I had ordered the other day, the who was it down in Zoo Creatures who brought it into me, because I was in a meeting with one of the other managers, and they handed me the box, and they were like, yeah, the guy grabbed out of the box and then like flipped it into the right, like upright. And I was like, oh no, that's terrible.
Oh no. I haven't done one of those on the podcast in a while. Oh yeah.
Amazing. But yeah, it is important to note that not every person that box comes in contact with is going to treat it with the same delicate care that you will.
Yeah, and the thing with the arachnids, a lot of people and insects people are generally consider 2-day shipping to be okay with them, because as long as you make those packages super cushioned, they can kind of do whatever, and they don't need a whole lot of oxygen. So like comparatively compared to reptiles and amphibians and whatever, I've literally seen people take decent sized tarantulas, like make it curl up into like a little tiny ball and then wrap it with a paper towel and then in a vial. And so to the point where like it can't move, and I was amazed that they fit like a tarantula like 3 inches across in like a vial that's like 1.5 inches across, and I was like, there's no way my tarantula is in there. And then I pull it out and boom, it's in there and it's alive. And I'm like, how did it breathe? There's like no air in there at all, and the thing's perfectly fine. And so
there's air.
There was, I guess there was enough air for the tarantula because the thing was fine. And so I've shipped out tarantulas before, and for babies, a lot of people use the straw method, where they take a like Dunkin' Donut straw, like one of the thick ones, the ones that are really wide, and you cut it into a section, plug up one end with a piece of paper towel, and then you wet it a little bit so it expands in the end. And then some people will put air holes in the straw along the length of it. Some people don't. You don't really have to. And then get the tarantula into the straw, plug up the other end, wet it down so it expands, and then ship that straw in a container or whatever. When you're shipping a lot of baby tarantulas, it's a lot easier than doing a bunch of vials and stuff.
I remember getting in that order of straws,
of 50 straws, and,
and I was like, what is all of that? Why did we get 1.5 inch long straw sections? And then boop, out popped a spider, and I was like, "Oh, that's what all of those are, isn't it?"
Little spiders, yeah. And then I've shipped out tarantulas before like that, and I didn't put air holes in the straw, but they had like it was like a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch tarantula in like a 3-inch long straw, so we had plenty of air in there. And the customer emailed me, they're like, "The tarantula is dead. It didn't have enough air," and I'm like, if you only knew, it had plenty of air. What I think happened was when they were pulling the ends of the straws out, they didn't pull straight. Like they tried to grab it and they pushed it in and they squished the spider inside. Yeah, which is a bummer because they were really like upset, and I was like, I get that you're upset, but I've shipped like hundreds of tarantulas and I've never had an issue, and I don't think that your one package was the one that I messed up.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, and then it's like you gotta treat the customer with respect. But
do you?
As a business, I have to.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's funny. I heard a thing the other day that was like, the customer's always right. Are they? Are they always right? You've somehow become benevolent now. You're now perfect. You're impervious to being wrong because you're shopping. Is that right? And it's like, wow, that person's absolutely right. You're not some magic being now that you went shopping. But come on.
Yeah, all to save the Yelp review.
I guess. I have not read a Yelp review in many years.
Yeah, it ain't all it's hyped up to be.
I would love to see what they got under Rob is creeping it real. They're like, he's a nice
this
guy.
Guy's creeping it real.
He's a nice guy, but man, he's creepy.
And you're like, yes, on brand.
On brand, damn it.
On brand. 3 stars, and I'm taking it.
I'll take it. That's 3 out of 3, baby.
Yeah, or 5, but it's
5.
okay.
Or 5. I only have 3 fingers, so.
What? Oh my gosh. But yeah, so there's plenty to take into consideration when you're shipping a bunch of different stuff. So we would implore you guys, if you're getting ready to ship your first animals or your breeding stuff for the first time and thinking about what you need to do for shipping.
We should touch on that real quick.
Yes.
If you are planning on breeding your reptiles, just know that you are most likely going to have to ship at least one of your offspring.
Very true.
So if it's something that you're not familiar with, get yourself familiar with it.
Yeah, exactly. Check out places, again, like we've already mentioned, shipyourreptiles.com. They've got a million wonderful resources on their website to get you through the shipping process.
Boxes, bags, they've got tutorial videos, they got
everything. It's a wonderful one-stop resource for anybody, from shipping from the novice shipper all the way to people who've been shipping and are shipping hundreds of packages a week. So go check that out. Also, you can check out places again like TSK for shipping supplies as well, and we've also mentioned a bunch of other wonderful shipping third-party shipping companies that you can check out as well. So yeah, go check that stuff out. It's super, super important. And of course, there's always going to be things that pop up and cause little blips on the map along the way. And
tackle it when you get to it.
Exactly. Be prepared, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
It's not that stressful.
Yeah. It's just stressful the first 100 times that you do it.
Yeah. After, when you get to 101, you don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah, pretty much.
Rob stopped thinking about it yesterday.
Yeah. When I ship stuff out now, honestly, I don't even think about it anymore. It's like I hand it to FedEx and I'm like, okay, I can go have dinner now. I'm cool.
Yeah.
Although you know what I do appreciate as someone who sells reptiles is when I send a snake out and the customer, when they receive it,
they send you an email or something,
an email or a picture, a message or whatever, and they're like, hey, I got the animal, it's safe, thank you so much. And it's like, boom, I like that.
I'll usually go, like, what I shipped a few things out or a little earlier this year, and if I didn't get a message back from somebody, I would send them an email and just be like, hey, I just want to make sure the animal got there, because I don't want to hear something 48 hours later that something was wrong.
So I
just want to check now, make sure everything's good, make sure you got the animal, whatever. And yeah, it was all good. People were just, oh yeah, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I say, okay,
is this good?
I'm cool with the no news is good news, but I
Yeah.
like the confirmation
Yeah.
that it's all good, just so that nothing pops up and tries to surprise me later on.
Yeah.
Because that's just no, I'll pass.
Not great.
So
Not
with
great.
that, Rob.
Yes. I literally am pulling it up right now. I want to make sure I get the person's account right because
Okay.
I just started following someone on Instagram, and man, they posted the coolest video of this little rhino viper, and I was like, oh.
Hey, okay. Well, hopefully it loads in the correct amount of time. So, Rob, what in the realm of reptiles, be it something in your own collection, something at Nerd, or something you've seen online, what in the realm of reptiles has you excited about reptiles?
Oh boy, hold on, it's still loading.
It's still
I'm
loading.
sorry, Jeremy. I just saw. Hold on.
He was
I'll explain it
unprepared,
right
everybody.
now. I was unprepared.
I think he might have thought he was going to get me.
No, I knew that this
Oh,
was
okay.
coming. I knew it
Okay.
was coming. I'm just unprepared.
Damn.
Okay, it is this account. Okay, so this person has like 50,000 Instagram followers. Her name is Olivia Lundborg, and they just posted a really cute video of a baby rhino viper, and it's like huffing and puffing, and rhino vipers are like super colorful and pretty and everything, and they're like one of my favorite species of venomous snakes. And so just seeing that little rhino viper, I was just like, oh, that's so cool. But they do this really nice macro photography of venomous snakes.
Oh, that's very nice.
And like just amazing photography. I wish I was this good at photography. I'm good, but not that good. But check them out. Their Instagram account is Severus_snake. So it's SEVERUS_snakes. And right now they got about 50,000 Instagram followers. So go check them out.
That's
I
pretty
really
awesome.
appreciate their photography. It's really good. And they've got some really cool species on there. And Chloroechis, I see on there, some Naja, rhino vipers.
Hey.
I love it. Check it out.
I dig it.
So, Jeremy, what in the realm of reptiles got you excited?
Oh,
about
I
reptiles
wasn't
now?
expecting you to ask
I
me.
saw your little baby racks you got set up.
I do have some baby racks set up. I'm pretty geeked about that. And literally just because I don't have room in my other baby racks for this year's babies, I had to go buy more baby racks just because I've got too many holdbacks.
How holdbacks?
Yeah, Rob hasn't quite. He's gotten close to where the racks are full, but then doesn't have anything else to hatch. So
yeah, and then I think I've got one clutch that's in the works right now, and then
yeah, he don't know.
Maybe one more clutch.
No,
One of them just
he don't
ovulated.
know.
I know
He
that's
don't
happening.
know.
The other one, the one that I'm most excited about, I'm not. I don't want to get excited because I don't want to jinx myself, but
yeah,
things are looking good. So I'm pretty excited for that. So that would be cool.
Hey.
That'd be cool.
All right, Rob. If people want to follow you and find out more things about you, where can they go?
If you want to see some dank memes, check me out on Instagram. Look at my Instagram story. Rob is creeping it real. I'm on TikTok now. I made a TikTok because people have been bugging me to make a TikTok. And so I've been making TikTok videos because I'm an old person. I don't know how to TikTok. I feel like I'm saying it too much right now.
What?
But
What are you
same
saying?
thing. Rob is creeping it real on TikTok.
On what?
On the TikTok.
On the talk?
I'm a talker.
You're talking, bro?
I'm talker.
Damn.
On a podcast.
That's like, sorry, I have to do it. When Barcheck came up to Nerd and was trying to tell Kevin about TikTok, and he was like, dude, you're not on the talk? And I was like, what did Brian just say?
We're going to give you some crap about that, Brian.
Yeah. Oh, it's happening.
It's fun. I put up some metal videos and some snake videos, and I like it. So honestly, I like it for the ambient music stuff. Like I just like nice soft piano music, and they've got a lot of that you can put to your videos. And I was like, I like this. I like that. So I'm on TikTok, Rob is Creeping It Real. I'm on Instagram, Rob is Creeping It Real. Don't add me on Facebook, but check me out on YouTube at Rob is Creeping It Real. I don't know if it's at, but my account name is Rob's Creeping It Real. So everywhere, Rob is Creeping It Real. I'm creeping it real. Jeremy, if you want to find out more about you, where are they going to go?
You can go to my Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Brassman Reptiles. Find me all over the place.
Check out his
on
new
there.
super striped Borneo short-tailed python. That
Yes.
wants to eat them.
Yes, it is. So Tracy was very correct with the 7 peppers. She was very correct. That picture literally was after like 15 consistent back-to-back strikes, like launching itself off
Wow.
of my table. And I'm like, and I'm not moving.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's there and I have the camera up
wow,
and I'm just
wow,
like waiting for it to focus and it's just losing its ever-loving
Cookies?
mind. Yeah. And I was like, it's gonna be all right, little guy. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right.
So
But
here's
I
the
am
deal.
stoked about it.
You need to breed him to something really,
Really tame?
mellow.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is I was like, oh, I gotta breed it to the VPI striped ultra.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, yeah, she's not that great either.
No,
Like
you'll have some angry babies. Oh my Lanta.
So I'm like, I still want to do that, but at the same time, I'm like, it's gonna be a demon clutch.
Yeah. You need to incubate them at like 83 degrees, just like keep it cool, low
and
and
just pet
slow.
the eggs.
The whole
pet
time,
the eggs.
talk,
and just-
open it up, just talk to them. I
Yeah,
love you
it's
guys.
okay.
I'm speaking positive energy into your existence
Yeah.
in the universe.
Play a little Beethoven.
I love you.
Yeah.
I love you. And they come out of the egg and they're like, Papa.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Just hatch out ball pythons, and you're like, what?
What is going on right
Yeah.
now? Oh, I swapped your eggs. I put the other ones in the 90-degree incubator.
Yeah.
You
No. Oh my gosh. All right, guys, that wraps up this.
Thank you
this
for tuning in,
episode.
everybody.
We'll see you
Appreciate
next
it.
week. Who are we talking with next week, Rob?
It's a surprise.
Do you not remember?
No, I remember.
Oh, okay.
It's a
All right. We're gonna
surprise.
keep it a surprise.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're keeping it a surprise. So Wednesday next week, you want to check it out because we're gonna be having a really awesome
Live.
conversation with a really awesome person.
Yeah, maybe
So-
check out on Instagram. We'll post on our Instagram at reptile.talk
Ooh,
who it's gonna be.
OnlyFans.
Yeah, that too.
Only on
Check it out.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
You'll only get
yeah,
the
we can-
heads
we
up
can do that too.
if you're on
Yeah.
our OnlyFans. You can follow us on OnlyFans.
Boom. Check it out.
Reptile Talk.
See you next time.
See you guys.